Now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again another day committed to being your consumer advocate. It's all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We love to help you win. We greatly appreciate those that are calling in, supporting the show, supporting the local area business owners and sales reps and executives that come in on the program and talk about life in Tampa Bay, things happening on a daily basis. We try to alert you to different fraudulent schemes and scams out there, and that's the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. Reach out to the hotline. We'd love to connect with you. 813-917-1894. You can call or text. It's an off-air number, 813-917-1894. And you can email direct, brimes@kw.com, brimes@kw.com, helping you win in any marketplace. Fred Muth going to be on the program, the Tin Man, a.k.a. the Tin Man, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, coming up on the show. We got Jennie RESTREPO as well in studio, Insured Title, right here in Tampa Bay. Going to talk about title fraud, wire fraud, what to be alert for, what to look out for. Lots of scams out there, especially in that space. And we have Justin Morris, SEM Power, and solar expert contributor, solar company, director of residential sales here, sempower.com, on the program. We're going to talk about supply chain. How is it affecting his business? And, of course, some of the others in the area as well. And we'd like to feature our real estate listings live on air to help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovation with radio, TV, and, of course, internet marketing. We got a hot property listing here in South Tampa, 6012 South Russell Street. This is a gorgeous Mediterranean palace right in South Tampa. It's a large home, about 3,000 square feet, close to Bayshore, right here in Tampa Bay. Custom-built home, Ballast Point community. You got large travertine porches and beautiful wrought iron staircase, travertine floors throughout, covered porches, that is. Custom-built home right here in South Tampa, 6012 South Russell Street in Tampa. Walk to Bayshore, go up and down Bayshore Boulevard there, jogging, walking, biking, like a lot of people like to do in South Tampa. And also, we've got a property on the beach, 722 Pruitt Drive, Madeira Beach. Bring your boat, 95-foot lot. You've got a beautiful boat dock with bay access. Bring your boat. Enjoy all the best that Tampa Bay has to offer. 722 Pruitt Drive, Madeira Beach. You could literally walk or bike to the beach and enjoy the beautiful dolphin-filled waters and sugar sands of Madeira Beach and Pinellas County. Right here, you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, quick shout out as well to Replenish IV Solutions. Shout out to Steve and Elisa Gunnan. Safe and effective way to restore your body's systems with crucial vitamins and nutrients, enabling them to perform at optimal conditions, multiple Bay Area locations, or they will come to you. I really like that part of it. They'll come and they'll hook you up right on your own couch. You're watching TV, hanging out, and they will hook you up with a vitamin infusion drip, going to help you feel better, and of course fight off a lot of the different things that might be attacking your immune system. All right, let's jump right into it here. Justin Morris, SEM Power, coming up. Let's make our introductions here in studio. Jennie RESTREPO, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. So give us a little teaser of what you're going to talk about today.
Fraud, and more fraud.
Oh, yeah.
But more importantly, how you do not become a victim of these fraud and scamsters.
Right. You guys see it. You're doing a lot of transactions, so you see a good sample size of what these perpetrators are trying to pull.
We have had some issues come through the office. Luckily, our very on top of it team has thwarted their efforts.
Yeah.
But they're getting smarter and smarter and smarter and more creative.
Yeah. And especially in this cyber world we live in, it's like, there's so many opportunities for them to be creative, especially when you're using the internet. So
yes.
We'll dive deeper into that with Jennie from Insured Title here on the program. Let's go to the phones here. Justin Morris, SEM Power, solar expert contributor for the show. Hey, how are you?
I'm fantastic, man. How are you guys doing?
Excellent. Yep, blessed and highly favored, my friend. Tell us what's happening in your world. Solar, it's just not as penetrated as it should be. Or, as far as, the number of households, the number of roofs out there, we got to get more solar on these roofs.
Yeah, it's really kind of crazy. I was telling you, I'm out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Phoenix is the sun city, like 320 days of sunlight a year. And we're in an affluent neighborhood, and there's like no solar penetration. And, I think that really comes down to, once you get a little money in your pocket, you're cautious about what you spend your money on. Going back to what the topic will be here in a little bit, fraud. No one wants to get ripped off. They're worried that things are a scam, and that's a big battle that we fight against. And this isn't a scam. This is the future. And so it's hard trying to fight that battle.
Yeah, and a lot of it also with solar, it depends on the government, right? The state governments, the local governments, how much they're going to incentivize, and of course the national government plays into with some of these overarching as far as what you can do as far as IRS write-offs and things like that. But a lot of it is the state government and incentives as well. Is that right, Justin? Right. States
can certainly incentivize more. Like for example, I originally put solar on my house back in Charleston, South Carolina, and in South Carolina, the state throws in an additional 25% tax credit. So when you look at that, in South Carolina, they're getting over 50% as a tax credit towards their system. So, you're talking about paying half the cost of your system for your out-of-pocket costs.
Wow.
So, yeah, states can make a big difference. That being said, even if a state wasn't contributing a dime, which is the case in Florida, the federal government is kicking you a 26% tax credit.
Mm-hmm.
And the simple fact is the numbers don't lie. For anyone that's curious about it, I'm more than happy to sit down with you and show you the numbers and go over all of that stuff with you, with no pressure for you to buy. I love to just inform people and get rid of a lot of this misinformation that's out there, and I'll lay everything out for you. I'll show you exactly what your return on investment is and what you can expect out of your system.
Yeah, speaking about expectations, by the way, if you just joined us, Justin Morris here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. SEMpower.com is his website, solar expert on the show. But when you talk about expectations, one thing you can expect, and you're going to see it happen, is if you're working with TECO, Florida Power and Light, whichever energy company you have, you can expect that it's going to increase every year. I don't see it going backwards. Do you, Justin?
No. When have you ever seen a rate decrease? It just doesn't happen in the power industry. Because it's just like anything else. We could look back to a time when gas was $1.20, even under $1 a gallon, right?
Right.
And we could dream that'll come back one day, but the reality of it is the national average now is well over $3. Right. And, there's no sign that that's going to go backwards any significant amount, and same thing with power. It's heading up. It's going to continue to head up. Listen, California wasn't always paying 30 cents a kilowatt for their power. That's recent, within the last 20 years. And so if people think we're not heading that way, I challenge you to look at Texas. Do your research and look at where Texas ranked just 5 years ago and where they rank now.
Where do
the
they
simple
rank now?
fact is, so now they're in the top 10 for highest rates in the country, and they were in the bottom 10.
Wow.
Because their electric grid was exposed when they had that ice storm. They got a lot of damage to the electric grid.
Right.
And, Florida's in a similar situation. Our electric grid is very subject to exposure because it's all 90% of it is above ground, and so when one of these big storms comes along, it's going to cause a lot of damage, and the ratepayers are going to be on the hook for that. There's no question about that.
Right. Yeah, you see that happen with storms and the cost, and then just in general too. Like a lot of it's the media play. A lot of it's the front publicity type play. So you see, I think it was Tico that said, "Oh, we're going solar. We're putting in solar," but they charge that back to the taxpayers. Or I'm sorry, as you said, what was the term you used?
The ratepayers.
The ratepayers.
Yeah.
So they take up, and we talked about this is something that's kind of an interesting play, right? So they buy up land and they put it directly on the ground where that land could be farmed. We know we have I was listening to a podcast the other day. It said fertilizer is in short demand, and they're talking about a potential for a huge crunch on the food supply chain, and people might be looking for groceries, and there might not be as many as you're expecting, and they're already seeing it in other countries like Honduras. But when you look at those taxpayers, they putting these solar, or ratepayers rather, they're putting solar on ground that could be arable land that we could farm or we could even build homes on. So they're taking something like solar and putting it in a bad place. It needs to be on people's roofs or on the top of.
We're not having to take up arable land. I mean, it's just sensical. And yes, is that going to, or that's not necessarily going to provide enough. You can't put enough rooftop solar to provide enough power to power the whole grid. But can you do that on an individual residential basis? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Can you put up enough solar on your house to fill your power needs? Chances are yes. Yeah, there is some instances where that may not be the case, depending on the orientation of your roof, etc. But for the most part, 85% of people are able to put enough panels on their roof to generate their own power.
Right.
And so, and keep in mind, all of us doing our part on that means that power companies are going to have to do less of filling all this land with solar power.
Yeah.
Because every one of us is doing our part. We've talked about it before, the electric cars on the road. I mean, every electric car on the road is decreasing the need for gas. So, that's people doing their part. Now, it's putting a little extra demand on the electric grid, and we're certainly going to need to stay proactive with our approach as far as generating clean power for these vehicles.
Right.
And we can help you with that.
Yep. And there is a global scene there too. You hear about these different summits, but when you look at what China's doing, I mean, they're still burning coal. They're building I heard some staggering stat. Every 11 days, they're building a new coal power plant in China. With a 1.3 billion population compared to our 330 million population. So yeah, what can we do locally? But man, what a big world it is out there.
Absolutely, and you look at. To me, there's a couple big things that stand out to me in the solar world that are things that are eye-opening for me. For one, the Middle East, Dubai, has the largest solar farm in the world. Right now, keep in mind, this is an area that is one of the most oil-rich areas in the world, and they see that the sustainability in solar power. So that speaks volumes to me.
Yeah.
And then another thing, it shocked me when I lived out here in Phoenix, driving by the Air Force Base out here, Luke Air Force Base.
Okay.
Every building has solar on it. Okay. And the thing that shocks me about that is that means the government has done the research on it.
Right.
And so that's awesome. Because that's the government saying, hey, obviously we see the value in this, and we're gonna put it on all of our buildings. And so that, to me, speaks volumes for the validity of solar and that it is a great thing and that it is the future when you see those adaptations. Normally military installations aren't necessarily known for their cutting edge, of course, we're known for our cutting-edge technology as it comes to our capabilities. But, when you look at base housing on most military bases, it's worse for the wear.
Yeah, implementation. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So to see them doing that and putting that investment, and it's on all the base housing there, too. Every single house.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. Dubai in the middle of the desert, put it in the desert. That makes a lot of sense. You know, it's not arable land. For the average homeowner out there, they can save a lot of money. You got tax credits. You're going to be able to stabilize your power costs and actually have it paid off in, who knows, maybe 8, 10, 12 years, just depending on the size and the scope of your solar installation that you do on your roof. SEMpower.com. Justin Morris, final thoughts, my friend.
Final thoughts, listen, like you just said, the ROI on these systems, the return on investment on this system, you could have this system, I've seen it paid off in as little as 3 or 4 years. And then never have to worry about a power bill again.
Right.
The facts are out there. The information's out there. Give me a call. Let me give you the information, and then you make an informed decision.
Yeah. Text the word solar to 813-917-1894. We'll put you right in touch with Justin. Just text solar to 813-917-1894 or go to consumerqb.com, consumerqb.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Here. When we come back, Jennie Restrepo in studio. We're going to talk about title fraud, wire fraud, what to look out for, talk about real estate closings, working as a for sale by owner. Maybe you might want to work directly with Jennie and her great company. We'll be right back after this short break. ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Hey, Margie here with the Consumer Quarterback Show and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. If you're buying, selling, or investing, please give us a shot. We would love to help you. We are a top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay, and you can reach us at 813-750-0550. Call or text 813-750-0550. ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, and a top listing agent in Tampa Bay, featured in Florida Realtor Magazine, Top Agent Magazine, The Business Journal. We're looking for inventory. Attention sellers, we need more inventory to sell. If you're a seller on the fence thinking about selling your property, we want to hear from you. Free comparable market analysis. Check out consumerqb.com.
Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate all that support our local show. And you can catch our show anytime on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. If you happen to miss an episode, check us out. Download the podcast at iTunes or Spotify and check out our 1,200 plus videos library that we have on YouTube as well. Brandon Rhymes Realty on YouTube. And we'd love to connect with you there as well. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter also. And we got some hot property listings here in Tampa Bay. We like to feature our listings to help our sellers profit more. We got 15806 Adobe Drive in Hudson. This is a large 2-story home, great for a rental. A landlord would love this property because it's got many rooms that you can rent out. Adobe Drive in Hudson. This is Pasco County. You've got a wood-burning fireplace, vaulted ceilings, stainless steel appliances, gas stove, and sauna, walk-in shower, garden tub. 15806 Adobe Drive up in beautiful Hudson, Florida. Also, we've got 4302 North Nebraska Avenue. This property has its own private billboard. So you can relocate your business. It's a commercial property, corner lot, 4302 North Nebraska Avenue in Tampa and Seminole Heights. 2,100 plus square feet, office building. Seminole Heights area, wood flooring, decorative fireplace, beautiful flooring throughout as well, and about 40 to 50,000 vehicles a day passing by looking at your private billboard, your brand new billboard for your business to help you grow your business. Reach out, Consumer Quarterback Show. We'd love to help you win in your real estate deals. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right, we got Jennie Restrepo in studio here, Insured Title. She is a wealth of information around closing costs. Who pays the closing costs? What about title fraud? What are you seeing in wire transfer fraud? A lot of stuff going on in your industry.
It is. I know sometimes people forget that the title company is not just the paperwork people. There's a lot of what happens in the real estate transaction that happens at our office, making sure that seller is the correct seller, that the buyer is able to buy, that everything is done properly and correctly, so that when you're purchasing that home, all of the property rights transfer to you as the buyer with no issues on top of that. So making sure there's no liens, no open permits, nothing that's attaching to this property that then becomes the responsibility of the buyer when it was never their issue to begin with.
Right. Yeah, that's the important part of it. Checking it out, making sure there's no encumbrances, no liens, mechanics liens. It could be all types of scenarios that you see, especially if people get into buying foreclosure properties or for, known as REO. It's called REO because it's real estate owned as far as the balance sheet would show for the institution that owns it. So you hear REO out there. What does that really mean? Real estate owned, a.k.a. foreclosure property many times.
Yes. Anytime that you're buying a property, you need to use a reputable title company. You mentioned before the break a for sale by owner. Even if it's for sale by owner, even if you're choosing to go on your own and not have a real estate agent represent you, you still need a title company because this is what we do day in and day out. And the team at Insured Title Agency has been together since 2005, working in the Tampa Bay area, but actually doing refinances all around the country. And so it's not just Florida where they have the expertise. And they are thorough. And also, sometimes there's little things that happen here and there, and I will say that the team will roll up their sleeves and solve problems. Yeah. That's like a challenge to them. So, sometimes there's those tough ones, but we will get it closed. We will get it cleared so that the buyer is purchasing a home free and clear of any encumbrances, liens, drama. It's yours. You can feel confident about that and move forward either as an investment or as a home for your family. Yeah,
and the for sale by owners, it's interesting. We talk to them a lot as prospects and prospective folks that would list with us. But the for sale by owners, it's interesting, especially in a market like this. It's a little bit different market than normal with inventory being so low. Yes. But the average, the National Association of Realtor studies show that the only 7% of all for sale by owners actually sell, and of the 7% that sell, about 50% sell to a friend or family member. Right. So it's an interesting dynamic, and then a lot of them also sell underpriced because they're not taking advantage of a professional realtor who can help them, price it properly, negotiate the deal, and of course, work with the title agency that can help get it closed on time and properly.
There's a lot of things that can happen, and so when this is something that you don't do day in and day out, then using a professional that has gotten education, is licensed through the state, knows what they're doing, there is a huge advantage to that because you could agree to things that you don't have to. You could take on costs with requested repairs that you don't actually need to do. There's a lot of nuance to what a real estate agent really does bring to the transaction to the benefit of their client. Absolutely. And so, yes, you're paying a commission, but you are getting that back in kind, knowing that you have an advocate on your side that's seasoned and experienced and looking out for your best interests.
That's right. Going to help you win in any marketplace, as we say around here. Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, Insured Title, Jennie Restrepo. We're going to come back more with Jennie here on the program. We're going to break down title cost, closing costs. A lot of times people say, who pays the closing costs? We're going to go into detail on that. We're going to talk about that, title fraud, wire fraud as well, things to look out for and things to avoid. Plus, we have our feel-good story of the day. There's a link between being kind to others and happiness, a researcher says. So it's an interesting story here in our feel-good story of the day. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Ryan.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Johnny, are you good to continue? All right, everybody stand by, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I want to thank one of our sponsors here. We've got Chad Irrigation, Victor and his team with Chad Irrigation for all of your irrigation needs. If you're installing a sprinkler system in one of your properties, highly recommend Victor and his team with Chad Irrigation. They do a great job, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, they are a first-class organization. They worked on our property as well. And like to feature our listings. We got some hot listings here in Tampa Bay. Some great opportunities to own real estate. We got 12631 Hobson Simmons Road. This is a development opportunity. So you got 10 to 12 acres here out in Lithia, Florida. A little bit more rural area, but a great opportunity. It's kind of the urban expansion is going out, of course, into East Hillsborough County and 2360 Newburgh. I'm sorry, we've got a 12631 Hobson Simmons Road. That is 12 acres, water, sewer, power available. Attention builders and developers. Get a prime opportunity to build here, so you can build and develop, of course, a development opportunity. And you have different options from the seller, potentially up to 5 acres, 10 acres, 12 acres, just depending on how you structure the deal. We also have a property here at 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard. This is a beautiful opportunity for developers. A couple of commercial land deals here from the Platinum MVP team. 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard. So attention builders, developers, you've got 7 acres, roughly 2 parcels here. Zone C2, so you've got general commercial use. Water and sewer are available and on site, and it's a great opportunity to build and develop, maybe an assisted living facility, maybe a small hotel. The opportunities are there. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Jenny's in the house. Jennie Restrepo, Insured Title, and we talk about closing costs. Sometimes people, when I'm taking a new listing and I'm explaining closing cost, sometimes I get the question, well, who pays the closing cost, Brandon? Yes. And it's not as simple as just the closing cost. I always use air quotes, the closing cost. There's buyer side, traditional expenses, and then there's listing side expenses.
Correct. So closing costs is a term that can be misunderstood a lot of times. And when you're a buyer, it's also down payment is one amount. Closing costs are other things. And the contract does say, this is your typical buyer side, this is your typical seller side. But for your sellers that are looking to list with you, there are certain things like doc stamps on the deed. So the county that the property is located in requires a recording fee to transfer the document, your deed, from your ownership to the new buyer. That's typically a seller expense, and it's regulated by the county. So no matter what title company you use at Insured Title, we are regulated by whatever the county it is. This is how much it is, and dollar for dollar that goes over to the municipality. So there's certain things that are also regulated with the title company that can't be upcharged. Okay. So you can shop it around, but certain things are just non-negotiables because they go through the government, the local government, and they're regulated by the state.
Isn't a term promulgated? Isn't that the term that applies, or is that more for the state fees?
Your title insurance policy can be promulgated. Okay. For example, the owner's policy, there's 2 spaces on the contract. Either the seller pays or the buyer pays. But the price of the owner's policy is a set number depending on the sales price of the contract. Okay. And that amount, again, cannot be quote-unquote upcharged. It is what it is. However, there is such a thing as a reissue credit. Now, a reissue credit comes into play if the property is transferring within 3 years of the last transfer of sale. And it can be applied with refinances with no term limit. Okay. So when you're refinancing your home, you will get a reissue credit on your owner's policy. Not all title companies tell you that, but that is a standard practice at Insured Title Agency because it is a benefit to you as a client. Right. Now, after 3 years on a sale, then that expires. But on a refinance, it does not. So then if you're buying, you've got your prorated amounts. So you're paying prorated amounts of property taxes.
Yep.
You're paying prorated amounts for your homeowner's insurance policy. If you have a lender, there may be some other escrow reserves that you need to pay into up front. When you are selling, you are going to pay your property taxes. So the seller owes the property taxes for every day in the calendar year, including the day of closing.
Right.
So now we're getting towards the end of the year. If you're closing this year before the end of 2021, you, the seller, do owe those property taxes even though they're paid in what we call arrears. So the tax bill's not due till November, but the seller is still responsible for that. And so what the title company does is they factor that daily amount and they prorated property taxes, so all the way up to day of closing, and keeps those funds from the seller's proceeds and pays them forward for the buyer. Because, unfortunately we don't work on the honor system. So it's not like the seller's going to sell the property January 1st, 2022, and then we're like, oh, they'll pay that tax bill that comes in November of 2022. Right. No.
Yeah.
We don't work on the honor system. So the whatever the prorated tax amount is that the seller owes is collected, and again, not upcharged. It is what it is, as based on whatever the county tax rate is, and then that's collected from the seller's proceeds and paid on behalf of the buyer. If the buyer has a mortgage, typically it'll just be put into their escrow account that's held by their lender, and then the lender pays the property taxes when the bill is due.
Yeah, that's great summarization. Appreciate that. We're talking with Jennie Restrepo here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Insured Title is her company right here in South Tampa. They got an office over on West Chase area on Line Ball.
Yes.
Multiple offices.
So we have 2 local offices. We are a family-owned small business here in the community. However, we can serve the entire state of Florida as well as 37 other states for refinances and other transactions.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so let's get into the title fraud and wire fraud. What are you seeing out there?
Unfortunately, it's picking up. I'm seeing more and more. I have like a Google alert that tells me whenever there's a new news story.
Yeah.
And I'm getting one, I feel like, every single day.
Wow.
In fact, the last story, the alert that I got yesterday is a man is already in jail for forging deeds and forging signatures of people who are already deceased.
Wow.
He's already in jail waiting his trial for those charges and still committing new title fraud from jail.
He's got to raise bail somehow, right?
I mean, I guess. And then he's
crazy.
basically sitting there like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
And it's just crazy how easy it is in the electronic age that there is, if I wanted to e-record a deed, I could do it.
Yep.
And the obligation of the clerk's office, so whatever county it is, the obligation of the clerk's office is to make sure it's formatted properly, that there is a notary stamp, and that they paid the doc stamps on the deed.
Wow.
That's it. Unfortunately, they don't have the bandwidth to actually go through and say, okay, John Smith, yes, he's a person that's alive. Jane Smith, yes, she is a real notary. This is a real notary stamp. It is not expired. That's what the title company does. So at Insured Title, we are the people that are actually the hands-on human reviewing the document, looking at the IDs, ensuring that the notary is a real notary. And that's why it's so important that this is done correctly. Because, yes, I could make up a fake deed, go through my computer, be an armchair criminal, and steal your house from you. And it doesn't matter if you live in it. It doesn't matter if you have a mortgage on it. These very intelligent criminals know exactly what to do, and you have no idea.
Yeah.
Until somebody comes knocking on your door to try to evict you.
Yeah, and we interviewed Matthew Cox on the show, who was introduced to us by Kevin, and wow, just to hear the way he did it, they pulled it off. I forgot how many millions of dollars worth, but I've seen him.
$5 million?
It was a lot, and a lot of it was right here in Ybor City.
But see, Matt was doing that in the early 2000s, and I've actually spoken with him as well, and he said back in my day I had to go in person. Like, I had to show my face. There had to be a person.
That's right.
Now you don't even need that. He said now it's even easier now.
Yeah.
And our legislators and our lawmakers have not really caught up with this crime.
They need to.
So it's really on you, homeowner, to protect yourself, and your property insurance does not protect you. Your title insurance does not protect you. The clerk of the court is not looking out for you. I mean, not that they're doing anything wrong, but it's just not their role.
Yeah.
And so you as a homeowner need to be diligent. And James was asking me, But how do I know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can go to the property appraiser, at least in the state of Florida, I can say that 100%. You can go to the property appraiser's website for your county where you live, where your home is located. You can search it by your own name or your address,
Yep.
and you can just basically click that link and confirm that 123 Main Street where you live is your name.
Yeah. Yep. And it's complicated because people don't realize that they think about title insurance and they think, okay, well, I've got an insurance in place. That's only going backwards. It's not going forward like your
Correct.
car insurance would go if you get into an auto accident tomorrow. So, yeah, Jenny, a lot of good information there. Insured Title can help you if you're selling properties, buying properties. Typically, the seller's going to choose title. Dade County, sometimes it's a little bit different, and that gets into choice. But for sell by owners, if they want to work with you,
Yes.
Realtors, obviously, a lot of realtors, folks listening to this show get great service from Jenny and her company. They do such a great job.
Even if you are transferring from a family member to a family member and you're doing like $10, let us do the deed for you to make sure it's done correctly, because whoever the new owner, eventually when they sell, if it's done wrong, you're then having to undo. It's like learning the piano without doing it the right way. You don't want to have to unlearn something. So like undoing a bad deed is a mess. It can be done. We do it all the time, but let us help you. So yeah, even if you just have a question about something that I've said today, please call us 813-855-3585 or go to our website www.insured-title.com. We've got a lot of great information there for buyers, sellers, for sale by owners, seniors. Check us out.
Excellent. All right. Good stuff, Jenny. Always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back here, we're going to talk about a feel-good story of the day as well. There's a link between being kind to others and happiness, UBC researcher says. So find out about that in our feel-good story of the day. Also, Tin Man Fred Muth, a.k.a. the Tin Man, on the program, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We love to help you win if you're buying, selling, or investing. Top 1% ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. Certified negotiation expert as well. I actually teach negotiation and branding at different realtor boards or title company events and things of that nature. We love doing that. And so we'd love to help you win if you're buying, selling, or investing. We like to feature our real estate listings live on air on the show. I got a property at 2360 Newburgh Lane in Safety Harbor. This is an affordable entry-level property. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You've got a front and rear patio / lanai. Great opportunity at 2360 Newburgh Lane. And this is a smaller property, about 1,000+ square feet, just over 1,000 square feet. Covered balconies, and it's a large community pool. And it's 2360 Newburgh Lane, unit number A, in Safety Harbor. Great buying opportunity. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And every day we'd like to tell you something positive in our feel-good story of the day.
Tell me something good.
All right, so this is an interesting story about a link between being kind to others and happiness in your own life. And being kind to others may be your key to your own happiness. A psychology expert says studies have shown that a causal link where when people have in this generous, kind way, they actually end up happier themselves, says Elizabeth Dunn, a psychology professor at the University of British Columbia. She says, quote, frankly, I find it very reassuring that humans have this sort of baked-in tendency to experience joy from others. She told the CBC on Friday. Dunn said her happiness on research is conducted by changing the conditions that people are facing and seeing the results. In one experiment, researchers walked up to randomly selected people on the campus and gave them either a $5 or $20 bill and asked them to spend the money by the end of the day. Half were told to spend the cash to benefit someone else, and the other half were asked to use the money on themselves. And quote, at the end of the day, the subjects don't really know what the experiment is about. We just asked them about their day and asked them how to rate how happy they felt, Dunn said. And what we saw in that experiment is that the people felt happier after using this money to benefit others than after using it to buy to benefit themselves. Dunn said that the study suggests that treating people as other with kindness is more effective in promoting our own happiness than treating ourselves. However, she says being kind to ourselves is important too. And quote, this form of this form of kindness that is perhaps most beneficial for ourselves is really about self-compassion. It's the same sort of gentle compassion that we would extend to a treasured friend or maybe a younger person in life that we care about. So there's our feel-good story of the day. Pretty cool study there. Interesting. I've heard about those as well with some of the different programs. I think it was like a Tony Robbins experiment. It was interesting. They handed some people cold water in the glass. The only difference is they had, certain part of the demographic was handed warm water. So it was interesting. Cold water tend to have people. It was kind of weird to me. It was a little bit of a stretch, but they said, the people that had the cold water handed to them were a little bit, colder in feelings as well. And the warm water, of course, was warmer feelings, the research said. But it was just interesting how these small things can kind of tweak our psychology when it comes to just human experience. It's just really interesting. And we've got Jennie in studio still. She hung over. Fred Muth is tied up on a job site. But Jennie, it's interesting, right? That these studies, how people can do that.
It's so easy to be kind. It takes so much effort to be unkind.
Yeah.
It's like, just pay that forward. And if something's not your favorite, that's okay. You can do something else. If you're not in a place where you're happy, go somewhere else. It's okay. I have a 7-year-old daughter, so it's important to me to kind of model behavior for her. And so we practice kindness in our family.
That's right.
A lot. And considering others and being, I'm a woman. I open doors, hold the door open for a man that's walking in behind me. It's just common courtesy, treating others well.
Yeah.
It will always pay it forward for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And you think about how there's even, I think it's Luke Bryan's song, I believe most people are good, and so it's interesting to see how that plays out. Except when you get into politics, then you get people more tend to be negative, I believe. But yeah, so here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, we're expecting a call from Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. By the way, work with him on all of your patio needs. Lanai's, you've heard him over the years. Longtime friend of the program. They've been a part of this show for 6 or 7 years now. Just really, really awesome partners. And they can build the screen rooms on. It's funny how you have patio, porch, lanai, all these different names for basically essentially the same space, I think. But they do a great job with the aluminum rooms on.
I think in Florida, we have the best weather. My sister lives in Skokie, Illinois, so near Chicago, and she texts me that it's already snowing.
Wow.
And here in Florida, I'm like, well, we had our winter of like 55 degrees, but when you have a nice screened-in patio, porch, lanai,
that's right.
You get to sit outside, enjoy it. Like, that's why we live here. So I think the great value of being able to hear about home-related businesses via someone's recommendation like Brandon is that we talked about title fraud. Well, there's contractor fraud out there, and it's terrible. And I myself need to get some things done at my own home, and I'm like terrified to get the wrong person.
Yeah.
So when you're able to hear a recommendation from someone that has a great reputation that only works with reputable partners, take that advice.
Yep.
Go with someone that you know. You are supporting a local business, but you're getting that I've worked with this person before.
Right.
That's so valuable because unfortunately, with the real estate market going crazy and everybody being able to refinance and have money and do all these upgrades to their home and add an aluminum patio, you want to do it, but getting it done wrong costs so much more.
Yeah. Especially with these supply chain issues too. If you outlay a bunch of money and the contractor says, well, we needed it for supply chain because to get the product here, got to be really careful. And by the way, without further ado, we do have Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Brandon. Hey, is that Jen?
That is.
Jen, I heard you mention my favorite term, lanai.
Yes.
Yes, my mom has
lanai. I've been selling these things for 30 years, and I still really don't know what it is. So I just revert back to the in-between space between the inside of the house and the outside. Thank you, Brandon. I'll use that one forever.
Yes, sir. Yep, absolutely. That's he's referring to the in-between space, right? So it's not under air, not inside the house. Obviously, it's not outside in the humidity or the mosquitoes. So you got that in-between space where you might have a little ceiling fan hooked up. You've seen some creative designs over the days?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the ordinary, average, mundane design, it becomes boring after a while. When I go to a project, which is one I was just on, when I was supposed to talk sooner on the show, and I just got off that project, thank you. Very unusual design, and that's what floats my boat in this business. When it is something a little more complicated than normal, I enjoy it. I enjoy working with it, and then basically I can see the finished product. Then it's a matter of getting it priced and getting it on paper, and then get my vision in my mind into the homeowner's mind, and that's where the challenge begins. The very rewarding challenge, because once they understand what you've decided to do as far as a design, and they're happy, everybody's happy.
Talk to me about supply chain and labor force.
Man, I was feeling good for a while. Now you brought that up.
Yeah.
It's bad news. It's just not, it's not working out in today's world, and it's not helping any industry at all. People say to me, can I get on the list? And I'll say, which list do you want to get on? The waiting for the job to be built or waiting for the prices to come down list? And they laugh at that because some of them actually think at some point this thing is going to turn. Well, we know it will, but what is the point?
Right.
When is that going to happen? Do you want the lanai within 6 months? Do you want to wait 2 years, 3 years? I mean, it's almost like we're selling commodities, futures in this industry. We don't know where the prices are going to go.
Yeah.
The contractors have zero control over it, and we all feel like we're being taken advantage of. I believe the entire country feels that way with a lot of supplies. And I've suffered myself on building materials that I've ordered for my own personal use. I ordered something in February last year. Believe it or not, it just arrived today. Unbelievable. Wow. And it's just, it's not good. How do you keep a country moving in a good direction when everything's at a standstill? And this is what's going on. So let's talk about something positive.
Let's do it. So the beautiful screen rooms are going to add value to your home. They're going to add usability to your home. You're going to be able to enjoy that space. And we got about a minute left, Fred.
Okay. Jen, I got to tell you, my hat goes off to the title companies. I have to have a boundary survey to pull a permit. And a lot of times in the array of paperwork, a homeowner cannot find the survey. So they make a call. I suggest make a call to the title company. In 5 minutes, the title company sends it over by email. Just amazing. You title companies are so, willing to work with everybody in this business. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, we're always happy to help. And we have to keep the records. So if you don't have them, definitely call the title company that helped you with your closing.
Yeah, well, everybody's got it somewhere. That's the problem. It's somewhere in the bottom of that pile of papers.
Yeah, they're not as organized as the title companies would be. Fred, what's the best place for folks to find you?
I still like phone calls, 813-960-7064, or just write to TampaAluminums.com. It's right on the website, Tampa Aluminums, TampaScreensandAluminums.com.
All right, buddy. Hey, good hearing from you. Talk to you soon.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
All right. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. There's lots of ways you can donate time, donate blood, get involved with the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback. Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.